In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 things that disappear quietly when you retire, that almost nobody warns you about in advance. And by the end, you'll know exactly what you can do right now to set yourself up before retirement and what to do if you're already in it. The first thing that disappears is your paycheck. That means you're retired. You're not working anymore, because the fact is that income is what you've relied on for many years. But when you retire, all of that changes. How the money comes in. It's not a steady income anymore, and that gets people by surprise, but it also is one of the reasons why some people just never retire, or they keep postponing it because they're actually just scared. Because as I tell people, when you're working and you have the income, you in essence have unlimited income. You work forever and it's going to keep going in. When you get to retirement though, you basically have a finite amount of income, and that can scare people quite a bit because you have unlimited expenses. That never changed. It depends on how long you live, but the mortgage is there, the taxes is there, food is still there, vacations are still there if you want them. There are still going to be expenses in retirement, and they are never going to stop. And so understanding that, being ready for that, is one of the biggest things that people need to think about and be ready for. The second thing that disappears the day you retire is your employer's healthcare insurance. And this is one benefit that was pretty fantastic while you were an employee and you were working. And health insurance is expensive. It's one of the things that when we build plans for people, it actually blows up their financial plan in retirement probably the most, because health insurance inflates probably faster than almost anything out there, closer to probably 6% per year, when the average inflation rate is closer to 2, maybe 2.5%. So when you think about it, health insurance is something you really want to be planning for. Let's say you want to retire early. When I say early, I mean before 65, because at 65, you become eligible for Medicare. You're going to have to come up with some type of medical insurance on the open enrollment plan. Going to be easily over probably $1,500 per month per individual. So it can be one of the things that can eat away at your plan before you even get into the ages of retirement of 65 and beyond. One of the other big things once you hit 65 and you're on Medicare is you have IRMAA. And IRMAA is one of those things that it's going to look at the income that you've made over the last 2 years and is going to decide what are your premiums going to be on your Part B Medicare insurance. And so this is something you're going to want to have, but it depends on how much money you made. So if you made a lot of money prior to retirement or prior to the date you retire, that is going to be the dime that IRMAA is going to calculate that equation off of. So again, Medicare insurance, medical insurance is something you really are going to want to think about, take advantage of, and really have a plan for before you retire. Here's where things get even more interesting, because the next 3 things that disappear are the things that cost the retirees the most in the long run, and almost no one is talking about them. The third thing that disappears is your contributions to your 401ks and your IRAs. All of them disappear because you no longer have earned income, and so you don't qualify anymore to be able to put money away. And this was a fantastic thing because it kept making your assets increase, your accounts increase, and you're also getting a tax benefit as well if you're putting it into a pre-tax retirement account in your 401k. And you also are even getting a bigger benefit if your employer was matching you. And so it was a great compounding effect that happened in this account. And now you're left with an account that's pre-taxed, is going to be taxable if you take money out of it. And so it actually now starts to trigger a different type of window, because now you're no longer accumulating because you can't, because you don't have the earned income, but you also now have this window between when you retire and when required minimum distributions, or RMDs, kick in and come into effect. And really what those are is really just the government's way of saying, hey, we gave you a tax benefit, and at a certain time, we are going to give you a calculation that you're gonna have to run year in, year out, and we want a certain piece of percentage of your pre-tax dollars from your 401k or IRAs that we're going to say needs to be subject to taxes. That happens at 73 for most people. If you're born after 1960, it's actually 75. And so during that time frame between when you retire and when RMDs kick in is the time Roths are going to make the most sense. And really when I say they make the most sense, it's running the calculation to say, can we move money from an pre-taxed IRA or 401k and convert it and pay the taxes over to a Roth so that it now grows tax-free, and it won't be subject to required minimum distributions anymore, and is more of an estate-friendly asset when it passes on to your heirs. So to that extent, you're gonna wanna look at those years between when you retire and that time frame and make sure you don't have any bracket creep. And what I mean by bracket creep is that you're pulling from your 401ks to make ends meet, pay for your bills, things like that. And that's your income for the year. Now you have a space between what you have and what the bracket is as far as staying in a certain percentage within the tax code. And so what you can do is fill up that bracket, hopefully staying in a lower tax bracket by moving money from your individual IRA or 401k over to a Roth, making it more tax efficient, staying in a lower tax bracket. And now you've done two things that are really important. One, you've created an asset that's going to grow tax-free. Two, you've lowered the account that's going to have required minimum distributions in the future. So theoretically, your RMDs will be less in the future than they are if you do nothing at all. But the window only matters if you understand what else just disappeared from your tax return. And that is exactly what number 4 is about. The fourth thing that disappears the day you retire is your tax deduction. Not all of the tax deductions, but a lot of them. Mortgage deduction, dependent deduction, HSA deduction, all of those goes away. A lot of people as they near retirement either have their house almost paid off or really close. And so obviously you're not going to be able to write that mortgage off anymore as far as the interest goes. In regards to the HSA, your health savings account, you don't get to write those off either anymore because one, you're not contributing to those accounts anymore, right? You're using them, you're now pulling the money, so completely different. Another deduction is obviously the dependent deduction. So really, you're just stuck with the standardized deduction, which is nice, but obviously all the other deductions that you were using to lower your tax bill are no longer there. And you definitely want to be planning for that in the future. Even with the right tax setups, there's one more thing that quietly disappears. And this last one is the single biggest retirement threat to any retirement plan that I've ever built. The fifth thing that disappears is your ability to recover from a market downturn. Now this one here, it's mostly psychological. But the fact is we can't determine what happens in the economy or the stock market the day you retire, right? You could have decided that you retired in January 1st of 2008. Wouldn't have been the best time to retire, but it was right for you in your personal situation. But it was really terrible in regards to the stock market and everything else because the stock market was going down. But here's the thing. Is that when you get into retirement, this is where your asset allocation is going to become key. It's very important because the mental piece of it is that you don't have income coming in anymore. So to think, oh, you know what? It's okay. The market went down, not a big deal. I'm still contributing to my 401k, my IRAs, I'm still saving. All of that is fantastic while you're working. But once you're retired, all of that's out the window because you're no longer contributing. Now you're living off of it. And again, I always say this, people don't lose in percentages, they lose in dollars. So you have $1 million portfolio and it goes down 20%. You'll tell your advisor you lost $200,000. It's real money. You'll think of how much $200,000 is going to mean to you. But here's the trick, is that when it comes to asset allocation, when it comes to your risk that you have in your portfolio and looking at everything, and why I think working with an advisor or Bonfire Financial makes so much sense, is because this is where we actually earn our fee. This is where we actually really help our clients because we determine and help them determine what is going to be their greatest allocation or their capitulation point. And what I mean by that is the amount of risk they can take and not get to the point where they're like, oh crap, it's different this time. Get me out, I wanna be out. Because here's what happens is if you started off aggressive and the account turns because the market went down and you lose, right? You lose that 20%, the $200,000. And you said, get me out, I don't wanna do this anymore. And now you can turn your portfolio into a conservative portfolio. There is absolutely probably no way you have enough time that your portfolio will ever recover. Back in 2008, the stock market recovered roughly in about 3 years. If you went from being fully invested in the stock market and went all to bonds, who knows how long that would take? It would take much longer than that. Because think of this way, in simple math, if we started with $1 million and it goes down half, now you're at $500,000. You don't have to go up 50%. You have to go up 100% now to get back to just being at par. And you know what? The market's unpredictable. It has volatility to it. It can get, basically the market can kick you right in the face and it doesn't apologize for it. So if you are misallocated, it can devastate your retirement and it can absolutely add more stress to you and make you have sleepless nights. So I really want you to lock that in. So now you know what disappears. The question really becomes, what do you do about it? And the answer depends, depending on where you are in life. So let's talk about what to do if you're approaching retirement, but you aren't quite there yet. The first thing is, and it's gonna sound counterintuitive, but it's stop maxing out your 401k. And the reason for it is not that I don't like 401ks or that I'm saying don't do it or not have a large 401k. It's that some people blindly just max out their 401k because it's what they've been taught, it's what it's been said on the news, and that's what they think they should do. But the fact is that now in those pre-retirement years leading up to retirement, maybe in the like 5 to 7 years prior, now's the time to kind of figure out exactly what that allocation looks like and start funding other accounts other than the 401k, right? So your Roth or your taxable accounts, having money outside of the 401k so it isn't all subject to taxes when it gets pulled out. The second thing to look to do is to kind of create a cash buffer. And I talk all the time about having an emergency budget. Really, that fund is really probably 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. Sometimes when you get closer to retirement, I almost like to even think about that, increasing that cash budget emergency fund to 1 year of your expenses to have in cash or in CDs or some type of cash alternative. Not because I like having a ton of cash, but the fact is that, again, we can't control what happens to the stock market when we retire. And so if we have to retire, when we retire, I should say, and the market tanks, and we have to pull out a ton of money to fund our lifestyle, and we're now pulling out when the market is down, and because we didn't set up a cash account, can be devastating to the portfolio. So if we can keep a larger cash account so that we can pull from during those market volatility times, can definitely ease the mind and also ease the road for you in retirement. Third thing is as you're going into retirement, is really wanting to max out your healthcare expenses, right? So that's maxing out your HSA, your health savings accounts, or really just kind of locking in exactly what your plan is. Is it going to be on Medicare? What plans are you going to be when you get into Medicare? These are all important plans and strategies you want to have locked in before that day comes that you stop working. The fourth thing to be thinking about is how are you actually going to pull the income off of your different accounts, right? And so it makes sense to have a plan, a written plan at that, in which accounts are you going to pull from and in what order and how much, so that you understand. Are you pulling X amount from your taxable account? Are you pulling X amount from your Roth? Social Security is gonna hit it. Maybe you have some rental properties that come in. Maybe you have a military pension. All of those come in, and it's figuring out how much do you need, how much are you going to pull from, and in which order actually makes the most sense for you and your situation tax-wise. The fifth thing to think about is running the math on Roth conversions. While it's a little premature in the sense that you still have income coming in, it's not a bad idea to start running the numbers to see, hey, which tax bracket you're going to be in, and realizing, is there going to be some room that you could actually do a Roth conversion, making sure you don't have that slippage into the higher tax bracket. Now let's talk about if you're already retired and you feel like you might be stuck in some of these traps. What is it that you should do? First thing is, you need to stop pulling from the wrong accounts. So if you're pulling only from your 401k, you should stop. Decide, hey, what are my other income resources? What other accounts could I be pulling from? And figure out a mix that works best for you, because again, everything pulled off a traditional 401k or IRA is going to be earned income that you're going to have to pay taxes on. The second thing that you want to be thinking about is running the math on doing Roth conversions. If you're before the age of 73, you're going to want to see, does it make sense to do a Roth conversion? Moving some of your traditional money over to a Roth, are you going to be able to do it in a very tax efficient way? Third thing you need to do, might be the most important out of the 5, is actually review your investment allocation. Deciding where are you invested, how are you invested, how aggressive you are invested, how much are you allocated to certain things. This is where Bonfire comes in and where we help our clients out the most, making sure they don't have overexposure to any certain asset class and making sure their investments align with what their risk tolerance is and where their goals are as well. Fourth thing to do is look at your IRMAA and your calculations and decide if you have a qualifying life event and see if you can ask for appeal so that you can actually lower what your premiums are on your Medicare expenses. Some of those appeals might be that you actually did just retire, so you don't have income anymore. That is a life-changing event. Another one could be that you had a passing of a spouse. There are other ones out there, but those are some of the most common. And the fifth thing to do is sit down with someone who does this for a living. Sit down with someone like me, a true fiduciary, that will talk to you and give you advice in what's in your best interest, not mine. And the fact is that can be extremely beneficial to look at all of your accounts, because obviously all these decisions really come together and make a difference of whether you get to enjoy it or whether you're going to be stressed out about it. If you're ready to actually take your retirement seriously, book a call with me. There's a link in the bio. It's completely free. Whether you're still working and about to retire or whether you're already retired, I will build a real plan for you. I'm genuinely excited to see you there.